Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger. We did some gardening today. I had, um, this was kind of a plan. I talked about it with my wife. Now, we have two daughters. They're both named after flowers. The older daughter, that flower is only in Sweden. It doesn't grow here. The younger daughter is a dahlia flower, and they have like dahlia shows. Like people say dahlia, delia, dulia, anything but dahlia, which it's spelled Dahlia. And my wife says that's the Swedish pronunciation. No, it's the correct pronunciation. Dahlia. Anyway, we got some dahlia bulbs. We got some Willy Wonka drinking the buttercup bulbs, whatever those things. What is that?
They're called, I don't know, the thing said Jester. I didn't know it was anything about
Jester what?
Jester. It was like something gladiolus, and then it said Jester.
Jester gladiola.
No, not.
It's yellow. Looks like Willy Wonka drinking the buttercup flower. We got some grape hyacinth. We got some wildflower seeds from the dollar store. We got some cayenne pepper seeds. We got some Hungarian wax pepper seeds. So there's a thing where you can get peat pot. A peat pot is a little pot made out of peat, and you can do your starters indoors. And once the seedlings sprout, you transplant this little pot that's made out of peat, and it's biodegradable. So you just dig a hole, put the pot in there, and then fill it in, water it, and Bob's your uncle, and they'll grow for sure because you started them indoors. So we were in a Goodwill. They had this lighting fixture. It looked like a UFO. It had 4 lights, 2 switches, a fuse, and then it had a thread for a base. And they had the base, which was an extended telescoping thing that came up like 6 feet. So I got this. It was expensive. It was $6.99 for the base and $3.99 for the UFO. So you can use CFL lights. You can get a CFL that's 6500K, which is daylight, or you can get LED grow lights. So I got 2 LED grow lights and 2 of those CFLs, and then I watched a YouTube video on making your own peat pot. So I used a metal incense tube. It's like 1.5-inch pipe, and it's got a round. And so you take that, you could use a wood dowel, like picture the wood that's in your closet when you hang the clothes on that round. You have a scrap of that round dowel. You take a 2-liter bottle, you cut the top and the bottom off so you just have that rectangle of plastic. You wrap it around and duct tape it. So then you have a sheath that will slide. So you slide that so there's a 2-inch hole, 2-inch gap to where the inner the dowel is, and then you mark it. So you get your soil and you compact it into that 2-inch gap. Then you wrap paper around it, roll like a newspaper. You cut the edge off the newspaper so you just have a bunch of pieces like a sail paper. You wrap that around it, and you can tape it if you want, and you fold the end in, and then you flip this around, you tamp it down, hold the tamper, pull the 2-liter plastic up, and then you pull the whole thing off, and what you were left with is a disposable DIY peat pot, but it's made out of newspaper. So it's basically a newspaper cup with 2 inches of compacted soil. So then you take a pencil, make an imprint, a 1/4 inch, or whatever your seed directions tell you, drop the seed in there, and spray it. And you put that under the grow lights, and when the plants come up, then you transplant them outside. So we got those peppers, which take 6 to 8 weeks. Those are still cooking. Today we did 4 of they were called wildflower seeds. And I thought it was vermiculite in there mixed in with the seeds, but it wasn't. I put a little sprinkle. Vermiculite is like, you think of it like a sponge, kind of like little bits that it's supposed to mix in with the soil and hold more water. But we put a little pinch of that stuff in there. Man, it just exploded with seed, little sprouts coming up. Like a whole bunch of sprouts came up. So the dahlias are like a cluster of bulbs. You dig that out. This, where we live, it's not conducive. There's in the back. There's a sidewalk that has two patches of dirt on either side. The side that's by us, and then our neighbor's side. And there's bushes in there. The bush that's on our side is not very healthy. It's kind of undergrown, and that's because there's a tree that shades that area. So it's not really the best area. When the tree fills out, it doesn't get as much sunlight. So I don't know how well this stuff's going to grow. I really don't know. It's kind of like the one side of it. There might be sunlight access when the sun comes up. It's going to be hitting in there. So we did, I didn't want my neighbors to feel bad. We dug a little on their side. We put some wildflower seeds in there, and I've got pictures. But there's kids that sit out there and smoke weed. It's like maybe about 6 to 8 African American kids and about 4 white kids, and they're young. They're young kids. They're not high school kids, but they smoke weed out there. And like my one neighbor was like, "Arr!" And I'm like, you get high. Like what are they supposed to do? They're not really that loud. They're not they're not spray painting. They're not breaking into anything. I mean, yeah, they smoke weed, but they're really, I go over there and talk to them. I gave them all Mountain Dew. I was like, I don't care what you guys do over here. I do keep it clean, so don't get mad at me if I come over here and pick up all the litter. Or keep it clean. It's up to you. I don't care. I went over there and started, because it was full of trash. And then they were like, "Oh, excuse me, there was something you picked up that was," they must have had their weed stashed in a pop can or something, because they asked to go through the garbage and take something out. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll leave that trash there. I'm going to go back on my side. I'll come back in 5 minutes." So they all think I'm cool. I gave them Mountain Dew. This year I went over there. I was like, "Hey guys, I'm growing something and I've got extra seeds. If anyone would like to try growing a little something." And there was a girl. She was like, "Oh, I want to." And so I said, "Well, I got flowers and I got peppers." He's like, "Flowers." So I made a paper envelope, put the wildflower seeds in there, and then I had some horse manure. I did a Craigslist deal. This guy had an ad in Craigslist, and I was like, I only need a 5. I told him we live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and there really is a tiny area. I could really use like a 5-gallon pail of H horse manure. So he was super cool. Him and his wife, we met them. They invited us to go to their church. So we're going to go. I actually can't wait. Anyway, we bought a bag of topsoil, so we mixed that stuff together, and we got the stuff started. Now the peppers are going to have to go a little longer, but I went out there. We bought a spade from the dollar store, which I bent it. The soil here is real. Once you go down like 5 inches, it's like clay, and there's a real lot of roots. We have a problem. Their roots are coming up. All the grass is dead. There's like this area where it's shade and the grass just doesn't grow there, and then these roots are coming up. So we drilled it out, these roots. We put a bunch of drill holes in it, and I went with a stepped drill bit and bored them out real big. So I need to look up, can I get like a syringe full of some type of household chemical and inject that, and that'll help break those down quicker? I don't know. I need to find out, how do you get rid of nuisance roots, because she's got grass seed. So we went through this whole process. I gave the kids some, the neighbor kid, they were out there doing their vape pen, getting high. I gave her some seeds, and the one guy is he's big. He's a real dark skin. And he's great. I like that guy a lot. I've talked to him a couple times, just me and him. And he's a good kid. He really is a good kid. It's kind of sad that they're so young smoking weed like that, but I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't judge them. And I don't want to be like, "What are you kids?" You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst possible thing you can do. I try to be cool to everybody. I really do. And I said, the only thing is, if you see anybody stomping my shit, please let me know who did it so I can murder them. So I got my own security now on my little garden area. Then we're working, and I had a couple garbage cans out there. We had a couple of like garden things, like cut the like trimmer to try to cut the roots, and there was like two 5-gallon pails. There was a bag of topsoil. There was some screwdrivers, a pry bar. I had a couple of pump sprayers, a couple of gallons of water, a couple of 2 liters of water. There was a bunch of stuff out there. I had a tripod, like the bottom of a music stand. We got the bottom of this stand, and then the top pole was from a like a garden umbrella. Like somebody threw out a bunch of like white metal, like hollow garden furniture poles, and they looked like they were the same diameter as a speaker stand. And then I bought at Goodwill the bottom, the tripod part that didn't have the top thing. So I bought that, and then I knew I had, well, I didn't know. I first thought I would use PVC. So we messed with that. I used a belt sander, and we took it down so it would fit inside of the hole. And then I wrapped cardboard and duct tape to make it bigger, to put the speaker on it. And I did that and painted that. And then when we went out to do the garden today, I said, oh, there's the totally right metal pole. It's just white. So I sanded that, and then I shot it black. I had that up on my workbench. So the workbench has like a tripod with a 4-foot pole sticking way up, and I had painted that black. So this woman, a neighbor, this white woman, covered in tattoos, smoking, comes out, and we're out there with all this stuff out there. Me and Gopti are out there working. She comes up and she's like, I've never met this woman. She's like, what are you doing? So I start telling her, like, we have 2 daughters. They're both named after flowers. The flower doesn't grow here. The other one is named Dahlia. So we're planting. And like, she was like, what are you doing though? She was like making faces because I start telling her, I'm explaining to her, like, our daughter is named after this flower. She's gone. She lives in New York. So we're planting these flowers. Like, we're not gardeners. We've never done this. So I was trying to explain that to her, like, we've lived here 20 years. We've never done this. This is the first time. But she was just like, what the? Like, I don't know if she wanted to call the cops. She was freaking out. Like, what? She's driving a giant SUV covered in tattoos. I know she was going to her job at the bar. I know she was a bartender, because there's no way that a single woman would, like, just feel that it was cool to just, like, call me out like that. Like, she's used to people kissing her rear end. She's got to be a bartender. But what a C word. And then she's just leaving. And I'm like, I didn't even get your name. Like, we're neighbors. Well, what are you doing? Christy. And I'm like, well, my wife's name is Donna. And then she just gets in the car and leaves, like, while I'm telling her our names. It's like, you're in that big of a hurry, then why are you asking, like, what are you doing? We're making a fucking garden, can't you see? There's a 6-foot by 6-foot patch with wet spots in it. You know what I mean? Like anybody with half of a fucking working brain cell would know these 2 people are gardening. What are you doing? Like, I told Gopti, man, because we've done some crazy shit out back. Crazy shit. We had a trackball with a giant CRT monitor with quad speakers for surround sound, and we were playing Golden Tee golf out there, like stuff like that. Oh, Motley Crue, yeah. We dressed the kid up with, she had a hatchet holding up Darth Vader's head, chugging a bottle of poppy seed dressing, dressed up like Nikki Sixx with the eye paint and shit. What you do. So yeah, apart from that, and then there was a wallet it was a grammar school or middle school kid's wallet, African American kid. with his ID, like somebody stole his wallet, and then put it on my workbench. There was a dead rodent. There was a milk treat, half drank, thrown at our. There was a burger bun on my grill cover. They put a burger bun on it. They throw shit, because I clean up. So it's like, oh, there's that asshole. Throw garbage, whatever you got. There's always Modelo's and whatever Mexican beer, always all around on my grass. Because when they come home after drinking, they throw it at me because they know I clean up. And like I said something one time to the guy, he kept waking my kids up for 2 years. He's playing his playing his music. He gets drunk and turns the music up so fucking loud, and like you're waking my kids up every day. And the one time it was like he got wasted, and it was so fucking loud. I told him, hey man, it's too loud. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's too loud.
How far are we from that guy's unit though?
Like 60 feet.
Way far.
And
yeah.
it's like, I don't know what he does. Does he put the speakers by the door and just crank the amp? It's distorted. It's like, what are you doing, man? We know you're fucking Mexican. We know. You don't have to prove it.
Like, what does it sound like in that building?
Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of how it wasn't always bad here, but now it's like everyone has to test their subwoofers while they smoke weed in the vehicle. And I get it, but what are you trying to prove? You know what I mean? When it's that loud, when people in their units are being disturbed by it. So it's kind of, it's one of those things. I put a little fence around it. And I talked to those kids. I gave them a packet of seeds, and I told them, if you see somebody stomping it, please let me know, so I can murder them. You guys want to see pictures of my garden? I've been talking for an hour straight here. So this picture is a little blurry. These all came out of a dumpster at Scrapwood. This is some thick twine that I cut off of a blind system that somebody threw out. These are some shoelaces that I tied on here. You can see I put some wildflowers in on the neighbor's side, so the neighbors wouldn't feel like I'm an asshole for just putting stuff on my side. I put some on the other side too. Less of a chance for my stuff to get stomped. These were marked down for 50 cents at Walmart, and it was one thing with all four of those in there. This is where we put the dahlias, and then there's like the hot peppers, and there's wildflowers in here. So I'll have all pictures of this stuff when it blooms. We couldn't put these all in a straight line because like I put this one here first, and then I didn't realize there's flash from the concrete. So there's concrete underneath if you go down 3 inches, and it sticks out to about there. So we had to move these stakes over a little bit. It doesn't exactly look straight. But I drilled holes through here, and then you can't really see, but there's all roots in here. Like here's some roots. We drilled holes in this, in the roots. We went nuts drilling holes in all the roots that are sticking up. And I gotta see, is there something I can put in like a large syringe? Like I got some like barbecue syringes. Is there some kind of poison or something that would help to break down a root faster? I have to look like, how do you get rid of roots? So yeah, that's these wildflowers here. We got these seeds from the dollar store. It's just a pinch, and quite a few of them came up. So I'm encouraged about that. And we're going to be watering and weeding this year. It'd be nice to turn all the, get rid of these roots in here, turn this stuff over, pull all the dandelions out. I've got a pry bar that would work well to remove dandelions. But weed all this and then put some grass seed down. So I don't know what the timeline for that is. I have to look at the package. We might do that this year. We might do that and then do it every year until the grass grows back. But I don't know, this tree over here casts a lot of shade on it. So that's our little garden. Oh, you can see. See, I've got this is like a foot bench. It's got these footprints. These little stools, I built these. Found this wood, these planks, and I cut them up and made these benches that you can sit on. And I made just 2 of them, I think. So our kids could sit on those little benches, and we would sit on like chaise lounges. My wife and I. This is some kind of foam thing that I found and threw it in the trunk and brought it home. It's real spongy when you walk on it. And then this is a Happy Halloween mat from our Pakistani neighbors, and it has a green witch with a big hook nose with warts all over it. Happy Halloween! That was like the one American holiday they were down with, being from Pakistan and all. And those guys, there was like 4 of them. They were all like 17, 18 years old. And man, did they love smoking weed. That's all that those guys did. And when they didn't have it, man, they were freaking out. They would just be pacing around like caged tigers. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, dog? And then they would get weed, they would smoke it, and they would be all relaxed. But I had a bonfire back here a couple times, and they would sit there and smoke weed. And at the time I was drinking beer, and I hung out with them. And they didn't have a father, but I always tried to help them out with tools and repairing things, helping them fix their car, and giving them advice, which was like, what are you guys doing smoking this much weed? And then they moved out, and the landlord was like, where did they go? Like, they owed him money. The landlord was all mad at me. Like, do you know where they went? It's like, I don't know where they went. They went to New York. Then they came back from New York, and they moved into the apartment building next door to us. I ran into them at the Goodwill. But the grandma, she used to cook these really hot, it was like a burning hot piece of chicken. It was so unbelievably hot, like it hurt to eat it. Like, it was the hottest thing I ever ate. And she brought one over. She didn't bring it over. They brought it over. And they were like, my grandma wants you to have this. And they're like, but we need the plate back. It was a little plate. It was like a chicken patty on a little plate. It was homemade. It was a breaded chicken patty that was so hot. So anyway, I ate it, and then I came back and knocked on the door with the plate, and they were all smiling. They were like, was it good? Was it good? I was like, man, that was really good. I said, it was hot. It was really hot. So then every time she made that chicken, they would come knocking on the door, and I had to eat this thing, which it was way too fucking hot.
Didn't she make a hot burger too? Didn't you have a hot burger?
I think she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a real sweet old lady, and she took a liking to me. Our Pakistani neighbors, man, those guys, they really love to smoke their weed. So I will be back with more garden updates. Hopefully this stuff won't get stomped right away. I know that it will. So I've got to just prepare myself for that. But you know what? I'll do it again next year. Now that we did it, we know what to do. Maybe we'll get some perennial stuff. So you guys enjoy the nice weather. I will talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Try to keep cool. Hug your pets. And peace.